Well, hello there, internets. It's Phyrehawk again, and in this episode I want to talk about role-playing games and what they mean to me. Originally for this episode I was going to do something jovial and fairly upbeat, and then this Thursday just past was, and spoiler warning for anyone not caught up yet, the final episode in the saga of Vox Machina. Plucky band of misfits and fuck-ups on Geek and Sundry's weekly show, Critical Role. If you don't know of Critical Role, it's a continuation of a home game of a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors playing Dungeons & Dragons, live on Twitch, every Thursday night. Their time at least. For me, it's about 3 AM generally. For nearly 3 years I've been following this group of voice actors, none of whom I knew anything about when I first discovered the show, play these characters, collectively known as Vox Machina, for 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours a week, as they fought, blared, laughed and cried through their way through the wonders and horrors that Matthew Mercer, the Dungeon Master, threw at them. This Thursday was the final episode in Vox Machina's story. I won't go into details, but it was a pretty emotional journey. I cried pretty much the entire way through it. Role-playing, story games, and imagination have always been pretty important to me. It's why I love writing, it's why I LARP, and it's why I enjoy the chance to escape this world, this cruel, shitty, selfish world, for a few hours or so every week, so I can put myself in a world where I actually have the power to enact some change, do some good, save innocent people, and slay evil tyrants. I can be a hero, just for those few scant hours. When I was 6, my parents separated. My dad was forced to leave our home and my mum brought in someone new. When I finished the second year of infant school, we moved and I left all those friends I had seen every day, all those people I had known for 3 or 4 years behind and went somewhere new. I started juniors in a new school from scratch with no friends. And the people in this new school weren't like the friends in my old school. None of them seemed interested in the Game Boy that I had. None of them seemed to want to pretend to play Crystal Maze on the playground, jumping around clutching at imaginary fall tickets. People didn't seem to want to get to know me, so I turned to my imagination. My dad had gotten a SNES from my uncle, and with it the game Chrono Trigger, amongst others, which I found to be a vibrant source of ideas. So if no one else wanted to play pretend, then I guess I'd do it alone. I'd go into those mountains, find that power glove, and save the princess. When we started doing creative writing, I threw myself into that. I could write stories about all these games I'd been playing and the stories that I'd read. Chrono Trigger met Secret of Mana. Breath of Fire 2 met Redwall. And again, I could be there and I could be a hero. Someone did actually look up to me and admire me that no one in life currently did. Junior school gave way to high school, and there I finally met a couple of like-minded people. We shared a brief common interest in Warhammer, and from there found Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Instead of armies, we could concentrate on just one character at a time, and I could tell stories with them all as characters, reacting and living and breathing in the world. Though we were young, and most of it was just murder hoboing our way through dungeons, there was no real interaction or roleplay, it was just all roleplay. But that's okay, because in my mind I was still enabling these would-be heroes. During my college years, tabletop roleplaying didn't happen. But the internet did, and through a love of writing and telling stories, I found Xantharia. Still one of the most ambitious and detailed story building projects I've ever seen. They are creating an entire world of wonder, and those that wanted to got to play in it. I started Alex Goth, a name I got by fucking around with my middle name and stealing a surname from one of the families in The Sims. He was cliched, a little bit shallow, and a little bit of a Marty stew, but nevertheless, Alex was born, and he got to travel with a bunch of adventurers across the land to do away with a powerful necromancer. He fell in love along the way, and the story ended with him barely making it out alive. None of the other games I joined on Xantharia managed to finish, other than that one. But by the time university rolled around, I was excited and eager to find out that a tabletop group existed, and people were running Dungeons and Dragons. Alex's son, Alex Phyrehawk, half-elf and sorcerer, was born, and his quest to find his dad began. While striving to be a hero there, I discovered other games. Paranoia, All Flesh Must Be Eaten, and Orpheus, a game where I discovered that I could be dark and a bit of an asshole and still do the right thing. When my university experience ended, so did tabletop role-playing for me. I lived back with my parents, and was nowhere near any of the friends I'd made online, and I was too wrapped up in that online part of my life to even think about trying to reach out to friends close by to see if they wanted to play. And then I discovered live-action roleplay, and with a bit of a push from my best friend, gave it a shot. It blew my mind, a game where I could physically act out being a hero, dress as he would, swashbuckle with the rest of them. Quickly, I discovered I was nowhere near as good at swordplay as I thought I was, but nevertheless, I took to LARP like a duck to water. Atrocious accent and little money for kit aside, this was incredible, and I had small moments where I got to feel and act like a hero. People came to me asking for advice and help in character. Thanks to LARP, I've fallen in love, both in and out of character, had characters find family, save lives, faced off against a would-be god-eater, scaled mountains, vanquished demons, been gifted with a dragon's power, laughed, cried, died, and lived. It's taken me to dizzying highs and crushing lows, and I've met some of the most amazing people I could ever hope to meet doing it. Life had me move, and with the move, meeting more like-minded people and the chance to tabletop roleplay again. Pathfinder, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay version 2, and then D&D 5th edition gave me a chance to give people stories in which they could be heroes in a world of my own, and open up new chances for me to create characters to live in new worlds. For some reason though, none of them have ever really resonated with me. Aside from one of my LARP characters, none of them ever really evoked powerful emotions in me like I thought they should. And then I found Critical Role, and I had something of a revelation. Role-playing games had always really been limited to nerdy folks, and was something of a social outcast pastime. But here are these actors, all passionately role-playing and being heroes, not as part of some job, just flawed, imperfect screw-ups, but they were all heroes. Including one guy who looked like an absolute wall of a man, and you'd think we'd spend more time in a gym than rolling dice. I dipped in and was swept away on how good everything was about this game. Matt's descriptions were amazing, the interplay between the characters and the cast was incredible, and they spun this world of fantasy and wonder with such ease and disregard for the fact that it was being streamed to a steadily increasing number of people week after week. As time went on, I started to care about these characters more than I ever have most of my own. I was there every step of the way with them, escaping the Underdark, fighting the bestial Kvarn, flying on airships, gaining allies, confronting the Briarwoods, falling in love, suffering the wrath of the Chroma Conclave, finding their vestiges, dealing with their own pasts, bringing down the Conclave, diving into the depths of hell in order to end a deadly enemy, and dealing with a lich-turned-demigod. I laughed, I cried, I cheered. I felt soaring elation and crushing heartbreak along with them and the thousands of other critters who shared the ride along the way with me. The most recent episode, that epic journey ended. And I'm not ashamed to say that I cried for pretty much the entire thing. Each of their characters had their arc and their denouement. Matt gave each of them a beautiful curtain call and a symbolic and meaningful end to the entire campaign. They had me laughing and crying along with them because each one of them was so invested that they had tears pouring down their face for the entire episode to the very end. Being a part of that community and that entire ride has been exceptional and an amazing inspiration to do better in my roleplay, pushing me into knowing what I want for a game, whether playing or games mastering. I want my players to cry and laugh because of in-character actions. I want them to care about the NPCs I create. I want them to have secret conversations, plotting and planning their moves in upcoming combats. I want everyone to care about a campaign as much as Vox Machina care about theirs. And I want that when I play as well. I want to care like they cared, both in tabletop and in LARP. I want to be part of stories like that. I want to write stories like that, because in stories anything can happen. Heroes do exist, happy endings happen, and lonely little boys don't have to feel like an outcast and rely on their imaginations to feel valued. If you've never watched Critical Role, I cannot recommend it enough. If you've never played a role-playing game, again, I can't recommend it enough. For those that do roleplay, I'd love to hear about your favourite moments in the comments. Let me know the moments that have moved you to tears or put you on top of the world. Phyrehawk, away.
Why hello there. Whatever your thoughts on this, comments and feedback would be greatly appreciated. If you have any particular thoughts as to what the next blog should be on, please leave them in the comments below. I've also put some links down in the description linking to various things I've been mentioned to in this video. Throwing likes and maybe even a subscription my way will probably encourage me to do more videos. See you next time!